Hey everyone, so I'm sorry I have been slacking on the updates the last couple of days. I planned to do one yesterday, but then I was being lazy and I didn't want to do my makeup and get all nice to do a video, so I thought I would just wait until today. But thank you to everyone who did message me and say, hey, where's your update? We haven't heard from you in a few days, and I know lots of you that are following me are anxious to hear as well, so I will give you an update now on the last couple of days. So today we're on day 4, actually. So I'll kind of go back to the beginning just for anyone who's only watching this video and haven't seen any of the other ones. So we retrieved 24 eggs, and out of those 24 eggs, we had 22 that were mature. Out of our 22 mature eggs, we had 20 that fertilized. Which is a good number. So that's where we were kind of sitting at. And then they called on day 2. And on day 2, she basically said that between the day they fertilize and day 3, you don't really lose any at that point. They kind of just either, they'll all continue to grow, but they may or may not look normal. So they'll kind of start to see how they look between day 1 and 3, but you don't actually lose any usually. So as of day 2, I'm just kind of looking here. I guess day 2, and then they called again yesterday on day 3, and the results were pretty much the same. So yesterday what he said was that we still had all 20, and out of those 20, there were about 75% of them that are at that were at the 8 cell stage, or around the 8 cell stage, which is really good. That means they're a very good quality at that point. So he said there were a couple that were a perfect grade as of right now, which is an A++ within the grading system, if anybody is familiar with it. And then we had a couple, or then he said the majority of them were in the A- to B+, which is still a really good grade for embryos and result in many healthy babies. So those are still good grades to have. And then he said that there are about 3 to 4 of them that are slower right now, but that they can still catch up. So he said they might not, and they probably won't, but they may be some of the ones that we lose coming up here, but they still have a chance of catching up. So that to me means we have probably around 15 that were good. But what they said was now from day 3, which was yesterday, to day 5, which is tomorrow, we should expect to lose at least half of the embryos. So that's normal for anybody that's doing IVF without any issues at all. So anything from around 50%. So right now we're sitting at 20. If we were to lose 50%, we would still have 10, which I would be ecstatic with if we could test that many. So I'm kind of expecting that we'll maybe lose a little bit more than 50%. Even if we lost 60%, and had 7 or 8 to test, I think that I would still be okay with that. I mean, obviously the more the better, but it's better than having none to test. So there's also a possibility that they'll all die from now until tomorrow, right? But they can't predict it. All they can say is that we started with really good quality embryos and that they were still looking good on day 3, up to 75% of them. So we'll hope that we stick around that 50% loss mark between yesterday and tomorrow. So today is day 4, but what happens is on day 4, the embryos go from being about 5 to 8 cells each to like separate cells, where they start kind of going all together into a big clump. So they can't really do a biopsy on day 4, which is why they either do day 3 biopsies or day 5 biopsies. So tomorrow, during this, I think it's a Morella, I believe is what it's called, stage of day 4, is when the DNA starts to kick in and you start to lose a lot of them. Even if we might even lose our perfect looking embryos because they might have had an issue, right? So the look of them doesn't necessarily tell you if they're gonna have a chromosome problem or if they're gonna survive. Sometimes the weaker ones are the ones that survive. So all we're doing now is waiting for the call tomorrow. Any of the embryos that have made it to the blastocyst stage by tomorrow, which is day 5, they will biopsy them. And then if there's some that aren't quite there yet, they will give them one more day until Thursday, because they can biopsy as well and freeze on day 6. So either day 5 or 6. So by Thursday, any others that have made it to that blastocyst stage, they would biopsy and freeze. Any of the ones that were healthy enough to biopsy. If they already don't look like they can survive, then they don't generally biopsy them. But because we're doing double testing, we're doing the PGD testing for the short rib gene, and we're doing the PGS testing for the chromosome. So that double testing is going to really bring our numbers down when we start testing. So the more we have to test, the better chance we have of getting 1 or 2 healthy. So I think that that's about it for that update. Basically, like you probably already know, if you've watched my previous videos, our fresh transfer has been canceled. Otherwise, we would have done the biopsy yesterday on day 3, and they probably would have been biopsying all 20. Maybe a couple they wouldn't have, but probably like 18 to 20 of them they would have biopsied and sent away. But by the time we got the results for those, we would have lost half of them anyways. So ultimately, it is better to biopsy on day 5 and to add in the chromosome testing. And I'm just finally starting to come to terms with it, even though I'm still not happy about not leaving here, having done the fresh transfer, and now having to wait the full 2 months and not be transferring until the end of January. But there's nothing we can do about it, but hope that through the testing and over the next 2 days, we get good news on having a high number of embryos to biopsy and test, and then hopefully having some, even just 1 or 2 of those, come back being healthy. So that is the plan. That's where we're at right now. So tomorrow's update will be, we'll patiently be awaiting the phone call, and I will definitely make sure to come on and update you tomorrow, because I know you will all be waiting patiently or impatiently like we are. So thanks so much again for following, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.